Two of the great loves of my life are Mother Teresa and Ellen White. Now, Mother Teresa has been an inspiration. She shows unconditional love and acceptance and willingness to take her influence and power and status and everything else and go down into Calcutta and work with those poor, uneducated, and unimportant people, trying to lift them up to a plane which she peruses. But as usual, we all have to die, so she has gone on. And I think that she's going to be a saint one day. And then on the other hand, you have Ellen White, a young lady who was um, living around 1844, 1830, and so on. And she too has done some yeoman's work. Her work took a different slant, however. Her work sort of underscores the importance of scripture and tries to add some light to scripture. And what I like most about her writing is that her understanding and her contribution to education, her writings in education. I had a video in which I'm saying that the rich and powerful are usually atheists and heathens and pagans because of the type of things they had done to get where they are and the things they need to maintain and to take it to the next level. And so I don't think that education necessarily has to make people unbearable and status seekers and power hungry and so forth. What she says, however, is that our education, our ideas of education take too narrow and too low a range. There is need of a broader scope, higher aim. True education means more than the pursuit of a certain course of study. It means more than a preparation for the life that now is. It has to do with the whole being and with the whole period of existence possible to man. It is the harmonious development of the physical, mental, and the spiritual powers. It prepares the student for the joys of service in this world and for the higher joys of service in the world to come. And she goes on to say that um, the world has had its great teachers, men of giant intellects and extensive research, men whose utterances have stimulated thought and opened to view vast fields of knowledge. And these men have been honored as guides and benefactors of the race. But there is one who stands higher than they. We can trace the line of the world's teachers as far back as human records extend. But she goes on to say that it all stops at the one. And the one that she's talking about here is Christ. Now, in the Gospels, one of the prophets said that, and Jesus increased in wisdom, in stature, and in favor with God and man, which is the benchmark for human development. We need, mental development. We need social, spiritual, and we need physical development to be harmonious. We've had some outstanding men who have had emphasized one aspect, like Samson. He emphasized his strength, but he was so immature in his mind and in his relationship to others and to God that he ended up being not as effective as he could have been. And so, education is much more than just preparing for a job. But I found in my experience that sometimes you come up with some concepts that are so overwhelming that it might make you so uncertain and perhaps insecure and even sometimes cause you to lose your mind. But I could go to God and say, Lord, look, I don't understand this concept. And I'll just leave it in His hand. And He's going to find a way to to relay that to me so I could understand it. And I see this is the whole purpose of education. Folks have run God out of schools and out of education, so there isn't that individual and that personal help that you could get from the divine. Um, so there's no need for me to be proud or to me to feel that I'm better than others because I have persisted and learned a lot of things. I recall when I was a child, maybe 10, I would dig some holes in the backyard. And then, of course, when I come back another time, it's filled up. And I'm saying, like, the earth grows. I'm trying to understand that. I think I asked my mom, and she didn't say much, and I just let it slide. But when I went to high school and we started to do sedimentation, and you took some dirt and mixed it up in water and shook it up, and it's kind of becomes murky and cloudy, and you leave it after a while, and it settles the heavier particles first, and then the lighter ones on top. On top, you would find things like twigs and humus. And so I said, "Oh, this is what really happens." Because you see, when I dig that little hole, and the water that rained, the water, picks up a lot of clay and so on, and comes and settles to that low part. And it was settling, and so when I come back, it's full. And then I'm saying, like, oh, so I was able to understand it. And that was a wonderful experience. So even right now, sometimes I figure on some of the things I studied in high school or in elementary school, especially in science and in health, and I'm getting better understanding the more I study and the more I think about them. So this is what I find education is about. Education is not about becoming an unbeliever and thinking that you're smarter than God and everything like that. It's simply I'm privileged to have the capacity to persist and to go on. Um, and so you don't have to become an atheist when you have a lot of education because you come out feeling that you're smarter than God and you're going to doubt He ever existed and you want to get into a bunch of stuff that basically, if you do some research, you'll find that others have tried that in the past. But just before they die, they recant and say, there's a true God up there, and I shouldn't have wasted my life pursuing this stupidness that I came up with. I even think Darwin might have even done that in his deathbed. There's no need for funny ideas, strange thoughts, except that individuals, after they become educated, they become so proud, and then they align themselves with Satan, and then he begins to let them feel like how he told Eve, you'd be so wise, you'd become like gods. And so they want to pursue that, and it only leads to frustration, consternation, and your own demise. So I give uh, my hands to God in an education environment and ask Him to take me to the next level, to the next thought of there, the one that nobody has really pursued, and help me to grasp it so I could solve some problems in the world. That's what education is about.